Hey guys, so today for this video, I wanted to run down some of the rumors that are going on around the last couple of days that involve some pretty big names. It's the winter meetings, and it's this is when big time players get talked about a lot, and this is when, if they don't get traded or signed, it sort of plants the seeds. And so the first one is, and this came out before, but anyway, before that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below. You know what to do. So the first thing is the Yankees are actively looking to trade AHAB. Now, the Yankees signed him last offseason to a 2-year, $34 million deal. And this rumor came out before they signed Gerrit Cole. So, I mean, AHAB did not live up to what the Yankees were hoping for at all. I mean, I guess he was a fine back-end starter, but not for a World Series contender. I didn't understand the signing at all when it happened. I'm obviously a Yankee fan. It just made no sense to me. Why would you give, I think he was like 36 at the time, 37. I just didn't understand why you would give him a 2-year deal at that kind of money. Like, it just made no sense. But it makes sense why they want to dump his salary. Dump as much of it as you can, because at the time, like I said, they were going after Gerrit Cole hard. Now we know the Yankees have signed Gerrit Cole. So, and Gerrit Cole signed for $36 million a year. So if you can get a team to take as much of the $17 million a year off your hands as possible, trade him. It doesn't really matter. Trade AHAB. It doesn't really matter what you get back at this point. I mean, the Yankees do a good job with trading prospects. They have a very good handle on who are good prospects or not. So I guess I wouldn't be worried about them attaching a prospect like what happened with Zach Cozart and the Angels, that deal, where the Angels also sent Will Wilson to the Brewers, I think it was, or I forget now. But that was a pure salary dump. Oh no, to the Giants, and the Giants were paying all of the money. But so the Blue Jays, it looks like there's interest for AHAB. The Blue Jays are interested, the Brewers are interested, a bunch of other NL teams are interested. And I mean, I guess it makes sense. There's only 1 year left. I think they could get, I mean, I don't know. My goal would be to get them to eat as much of the deal as possible without giving up anything else in return. Like, just do a cash for the same deal as Cozart minus the prospect. If you have to give up a prospect, I hope the Yankees know what they're doing. And in the past, they have. So I have full faith in them. And so moving on to the next rumor. Are the Giants the favorite for Nick Castellanos? I don't know. Maybe. But listen, I guess that makes sense. Maybe the Giants are trying to win right now. Maybe, whatever. Fine. I mean, they got Zach Cozart. They have they're fine. They have guys around. I mean, the biggest question is, what are they going to do if they lose Bumgarner? Because I think their team kind of hinges on Bumgarner. So, I mean, I guess you could always sign him, and as long as it's not like a big detrimental contract, you could always trade him at the deadline or, in the off season next season if plans don't go accordingly. But the other rumor was the Rangers were interested in Castellanos. Now, this rumor was before they traded away Nomar Mazara in that weird deal that I talked about in another video. But so the rumor mentioned pairing Castellanos with Mazara, so I don't know if they're still interested. Are the Rangers looking to rebuild by trading Mazara? That deal doesn't even, it's not a rebuild kind of trade, so that wouldn't make much sense, but they're kind of in no man's land right now. So I don't know. But the next rumor is the Nationals are interested in trading for Chris Bryant from the Cubs. Now, the Nationals re-signed Steven Strasburg. I don't see them signing Anthony Rendon just because I don't think they have enough money. And, Anthony Rendon's probably going to get over $30 million a year, so I can't see them committing $60+ million to two players, basically. And the interesting thing is that Chris Bryant and the Cubs are in a service time grievance, because if you remember, when Chris Bryant first got called up, there was a controversy of whether, because the service time in baseball is weird, where, you could, a full year isn't a full year. Like, one year of service time isn't a full season of baseball. So it's just weird, and teams manipulate the service time of a player to get an extra year of control. And basically that's what happened with Kris Bryant. Kris Bryant was sent back down after spring training, and then he was called back up like 2 weeks later, and it was very obvious what the Cubs were doing. But there were no rules against it, so, and there are no rules against it. But Kris Bryant and his agent are filed a grievance against the Cubs, and I don't know what, if that would hinder a deal involving Kris Bryant or what, but I don't know. So, but it's an interesting deal. It's an interesting rumor because, like I said, they're going to lose Rendon. I don't see how they re-sign him. And no, Kris Bryant's one of the best third basemen in the game. The other rumor, though, is that Nationals are looking to sign Josh Donaldson. So that would be another alternative. I mean, Josh Donaldson is 30, so he'll get a multi-year deal, but it will be a lot less than Anthony Rendon's deal. So it would be a lot easier to swallow to sign him than it would be Rendon, because, you're probably looking at 10 million less per year. I don't know. But I guess, it's probably like the old saying, like, you'd rather just sign a guy for money than trade away prospects. And the prospects it would take to get Kris Bryant, it would be a lot of prospects. Yeah, and good ones too. So, and the other possibility for third base is just if Carter Kieboom could play there, just let him play there, because that guy's gonna rake in the majors, and they have Trey Turner at shortstop. I guess the assumption would be that he would move over to second, because that's usually what happens with shortstops who are blocked at that position. But, he could move over to third also. So, but the Nats are also going to have some competition on Donaldson, because the Angels are interested also. I thought that when they traded Cozart for and basically a pure salary dump, they had a deal, 95% of the way done. So, I thought it was Rendon. Maybe it's Donaldson. Who knows? But I would be mildly surprised if they don't do something within the next couple of days. The winter meetings end tomorrow, so I don't know. I think I don't know. They gave up a good prospect in that deal, so it's just, though, that, like I said in that video, it was a weird deal, and I think they have to make a corresponding move to justify it. the next rumor is the Astros are considering trading Carlos Correa to clear salary. So this is the thing. The Astros are already $23 million over the luxury tax threshold. And Carlos Correa, while he's still very good and one of the best shortstops in the game, he's also been injured the last couple of years. So you could say he's injury prone. And I mean, he would be the guy, I guess, to trade. And the Astros have stated that they want to get under the luxury tax. And I mean, Correa will only be a part of the $23 million that they have to shed off their salary cap, or their payroll. But I mean, I guess he'd be a start. And I mean, the Astros are also facing definite penalties for that whole sign stealing deal. So maybe they're looking at that to get under maybe there's some kind of, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, if there's some extra penalty because they're over the luxury tax, who knows. But they probably get a bunch of good prospects. Look, when the Braves got penalized for their the international free agent fiasco a couple of years ago, they were not allowed to sign a lot of international free agents, and I think they also got penalized for draft picks also, for regular draft picks, amateur draft picks. So I mean, maybe the Astros are looking at dealing Correa as a way of making up for those picks, those possibly not being able to sign guys over the next couple of years. Who knows? But I'm sure teams would be lining up for Correa, and we'll see. So another trade rumor is that the Mets are talking to Pittsburgh about Starling Marte. Now, I mean, it's a weird kind of deal. I don't know. I mean, the Mets are weird. I don't understand what they're doing there. Last year they hired a new GM who was a former agent, and he comes in and the first deal he makes is to trade for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano while giving up Jared Kelenic and another good prospect. I forget his name, but Kelenic's a top prospect now, and they had just drafted him, and that trade made no sense to me. I mean, at the time, Edwin Diaz was one of the best closers in the league. So, but I mean, I guess the GM what he was trying to do was he was trying to retool on the fly when the Mets weren't really ready there. Like, if you just evaluated the roster, you would have known that they were more than a closer away from competing. So, and this just seems like another move like that. You know, you lost Wheeler. I mean, if I were the GM of the Mets, I would probably seriously think about rebuilding, because I don't, they don't have a farm system really. The guys up at they have some good players at the major leagues outside of Syndergaard and DeGrom. They have Conforto, Brandon Nimmo, Ahmed Rosario, guys like that. But, I mean, they're not, if you're not willing to sign, like an Anthony Rendon, I don't know how you're really going to compete. So, and I don't see what they'd be giving up for starting Marte without subtracting from their major league team. So it's just another weird deal for the Mets that they're talking about. And so the next one is the Red Sox are trying to trade David Price. So the Red Sox signed David Price to a huge extension a couple of years ago. And he's started to drastically decline, I would say. He had an ERA over 4 this year. He's 34. I don't see him. I mean, maybe he could reinvent himself like Verlander. But, before Strasburg signed his deal, David Price had the record for pitcher. So he's making over $30 million. I don't know how the Red Sox trade Price. I mean, the only way I could see doing it would be to eat at least half his contract. And I'm not sure, I guess it would just be like trade Price for, I mean, because the Red Sox are trying to get under the luxury tax. And so they want to shed as much money as possible. And I mean, maybe they have a prospect that they could trade with him. They don't have a great farm system. So, that would be what they'd be looking at. I don't know if, their new GM is Chaim Bloom, who came over from the Tampa Bay Rays, who, that whole team over there is, very good at finding, basically the Red Sox are going in a different direction. Dombrowski gutted the farm system, trading for guys like Sale, and so they don't really have a farm system. I think Chaim Bloom's trying to, he's definitely looking to rebuild the farm system. And, it is what it is. I don't know. Price doesn't seem like a guy who could do that because he's making so much and they're not willing, they're not a team. The situation, they're not going to eat $20 million of Price's contract to get a good prospect back because they're looking to get under the luxury tax, and in order to do that, they have to eat as little of the contract as possible. So who knows what happens? We will see. The next rumor is that the Rockies are willing to listen on Nolan Arenado. So, I guess, they just signed him to a big extension last offseason. I'm not sure if this is a real rumor. It doesn't make a ton of sense. I guess they'd be looking, maybe they realize that they're really not anywhere near contention. And Arenado has stated that he wants to play for a contender. So while Arenado has a full no trade clause, he'd probably be willing to lift it for a trade to the Dodgers or, the Nationals, whatever team that's in contention. There are many teams that are in contention. How many could trade for him? I don't know. But, I don't think the Yankees would trade for him because I think they do have Andujar coming back. And, I think, personally, I think they could move Andujar to first, the Yankees, and play Urshela at third and go from there. But who knows? Maybe. And the other weird thing is Arenado's not that good away from Colorado. He kind of struggles. He's still good, but he's not Nolan Arenado. He is Nolan Arenado, but he's not the Nolan Arenado we know because, Colorado's a hitter's park, and, altitude-wise, it's not the same kind of hitter's park that Yankee Stadium is. So, or any other stadium. There are plenty of hitter's parks. Philadelphia, Cincinnati. So, but it's not the same kind of hitter's park, and he's not as good away from Denver. So we'll see. I don't know if it's serious or what, but all right. So last, we're going to talk about the Dodgers. So the Dodgers lost out on Strasburg and they lost out on Cole. So the next logical thing is, and they lost out on Zach Wheeler. So the next pitcher, and probably he's above Zach Wheeler, but they're not, I guess, I don't know. But I guess he would be third on the list after Strasburg and Cole, or after Cole and Strasburg. And then you get Bumgarner, then you get Wheeler, and then after that, I don't know what. I have to look at the list. I don't know if there are any other pitchers that are even in the same category as those four. And, those four are pretty different. But, the Dodgers won pitching. They have Bueller. They have Hyun-Jin Ryu, but he's always good when he pitches, but he's had an injury history. He was healthy last season, but who knows? And they have Kershaw. Kershaw is still there. Kershaw is still Kershaw. But they could use a guy like Bumgarner to be your number 3 starter and have guys like Ryu and Maeda, or even Dustin May, who I'll talk about next. And, it would be a very good signing for them. And, it would only make them the favorites again to go to the World Series. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if Bumgarner signs today or tomorrow, but he has a bunch of suitors. I'm sure every team would like a Bumgarner, but not that many teams could afford him and whatever. But I think the Dodgers are definitely motivated to sign him now that they've lost out on Cole, Strasburg, and Wheeler. So the next rumor also involves the Dodgers, but this one is very interesting because the Dodgers are interested in talking in acquiring Francisco Lindor from the Indians for Gavin Lux and Dustin May. So Francisco Lindor has been rumored throughout this offseason. I always thought that, it was sort of like every year they throw around these big names that, they're just throwing around big names in the rumor mill. But this trade would actually be interesting because Lux is a shortstop who is major league ready. He dominated AAA last year, and he could step right in to be Lindor's replacement, and they'd be getting Dustin May also, who is a top pitching prospect who could step in right into the rotation with Kluber and Carrasco. So, if the Indians were to trade Lindor, this would be a great deal. And I'm sure they'd also get another piece or two, another smaller piece or two. But, it would be pretty hard to pass up 2 top 10 prospects in baseball for Lindor. That never happens. It's only for a guy like Lindor, who is a top 5 player in baseball. So, but I think that's only the start of the deal, if the deal happens. But, it would be a hard deal for the Indians to pass up. But I don't know. That's it, guys. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, give me your thoughts on these rumors, what you think could happen, if you've heard of any other rumors that you think are interesting and make sense to you or don't make sense to you. Let me know what you think. And as usual, you can check out the podcast. And you can find all the information for everything on the website, theunusualidiots.com. And, that's it. And if you want to support us, support me, you could go to Patreon. There are other things on the website that you can do to help me. And that's it. So I will see you next time, maybe later tonight if something happens. Bye.